Hey guys, Foxdrop here with a more opinionated video. Today I want to talk about the issues with jungling in Season 5 and how the popularity of jungle Nidalee, as much as I hate that bloody champion, was a good thing. First off, let me explain what the problem with the jungle is right now. Remember, these are just my opinions and I'm not presenting these as cold, hard facts. Currently, the jungle is stale and boring. It's not only boring to play, but boring to watch. I attribute this mostly to a very shallow champion pool. In fact, I don't even know if we can call it a pool. A champion puddle seems more accurate. But jungle bruisers such as Lee Sin, Jarvan, Rek'Sai and Vi are running rampant with little to no competition. Whereas these champions may vary with their individual strengths and weaknesses, their playstyles are all very similar. And this is troubling because in Riot's preseason manifesto, they emphasize the importance of strategic diversity, a term about as accurate to the current jungle as professional integrity is to Fox News. So why don't we just play other champions? The thing is, off-meta junglers have never been in a worse spot, and currently it's not fun or productive to play them. In my eyes, the biggest reason for this is that they fail on a very fundamental level. They can't handle the jungle itself. For any champion to be considered a serviceable jungler, they need to be able to not suck versus the jungle itself. Why? Because if they can't handle the jungle, they'll never establish any footing and will always be behind and weak. This is especially important for the first few clears. I'm going to refer to this in future as the fundamental jungle bar. In Season 5, this fundamental jungle bar is so high, it's a registered inhabitant of Colorado. And what this means is that the jungle is so difficult, only the very adept junglers can even survive it. Not only is the jungle much more difficult in Season 5, but changes are actually being made to make it even harder. Essentially, the balancing of the jungle is being tuned to the select few at the top, and it leaves the rest of the champions in the gutter. Normally, this style of balancing is healthy and logical, but the problems with it right now is that it stifles competition in an already stale environment, and also these changes don't even really affect the champions that they're aimed at. Let's go through some of the nerfs that contributed to this fundamental jungle bar being so high in Season 5. The machete cost was increased so we can only have 2 potions instead of 4 at level 1. There was a nerf to the Krug smite buff. There was a nerf to the Gromp smite buff in the early game. Tier 2 jungle items cost was increased so we cannot have any pots on our second clear unless we inefficiently spend time killing the Scuttle Crab level 3. And there was a nerf to the soft resets. These aren't all the changes, but are the biggest ones that make clearing the jungle way too bloody hard. Like I mentioned before, the funny thing is, these changes have had minimal at best influence on the top tier junglers, but really screw over the off-meta junglers. The damaging thing about this is that the effects that these harmful changes have don't receive much visibility because most of the people will be playing the meta junglers who are mostly unaffected, whereas champions who really suffer are the ones who are already underplayed and out of the spotlight. In previous seasons, the fundamental jungle bar was a lot lower for, in my opinion, 2 main reasons. Firstly, the jungle itself was a lot less punishing, and secondly, we had Spirit Stone. Spirit Stone made it so champions didn't have to worry as much about their own sustain, as part of their damage would convert into health and mana. This meant that more champions could jungle. For example, in Season 2, I played Kha'Zix to Diamond 1 before he was even considered a viable jungler, as this was the days before Spirit of the Elder Lizard was even a thing. Similarly, I also played Lissandra jungle. Now, these champions were not considered top tier, and that's because they weren't top tier, but the point is, they were playable. Now, I've talked a lot about the jungle, but I haven't mentioned Nidalee. Where does she fit into all this, and how is she good for the jungle? To me, Nidalee Jungle is a great example of how we can actually have some form of jungle diversity. Now, if you think back at what the trigger was for jungle Nidalee to become so popular, it was really the changes in patch 5.2 that allowed her to hunt neutral monsters. Essentially, she was given the capabilities to efficiently clear the jungle, especially early, thanks to the root. Now, some of you may be saying it's not just her clear speeds and that Nidalee has loads of other redeeming qualities that make her a great jungler, and yeah, you're absolutely right, and that is the point. Loads of champions have the potential to fill this jungle role and bring this strategic diversity if they can just pass this fundamental jungle bar, and right now, very few of them can. Nidalee is an extreme example because she rose to the top very quickly, and she already had resourceless clears with a good balance between single target, AoE and some sustain. She was somewhat okay as a jungler before her passive change, but definitely nowhere near as competitive as right now. I'm not saying that with a push in the right direction that every champion will be as powerful as Nidalee became, and to be honest, that wouldn't even be a good thing. They don't need to be god tier though, they just need to pass that fundamental jungle bar and be playable. Of course, with any changes made to boost the weaker junglers, you run the risk of pushing the already strong junglers over the top. However, there is also a limit to this. For example, limiting the amount of accessible potions early does nothing to champions who don't need many potions, but it absolutely kills champions who do. Therefore, the opposite is also true. If you increase the amount of accessible potions early, it will have little effect on those who don't need them, but great effect on the weaker junglers who do. It wouldn't be very fair of me to criticize like this without at least providing some solutions. Now, I'll be honest and say that I don't entirely know the best way to go about fixing this. But I would like to see a stop to the nerfs to make the early game jungle even harder, and to perhaps see a rendition of the Spirit Stone make its way back, but maybe with a cap to the sustain so it doesn't make these strong junglers sustain bots while also adequately benefiting the weaker champions. Maybe make it focus on mana regen or something, I'm not entirely sure. But anyway, I've ranted for more than enough time. Let me know what you think about it in the comments. Thanks so much for watching this video. If you did like it, of course, feel free to give it a thumbs up. You can subscribe to me for more educational league content. You can find me on Facebook, on Twitter, catch me streaming on Twitch as well. But most importantly, guys, thanks so much for watching. Hope you have a great day, and I will see you in my next video.